Hi, Dr. Rhodes here with some thoughts about the relationship between social work practice and research. Most of us are not going to be researchers. By far and away, most people who are interested in being social work, in doing social work, or working with communities are definitely more interested in having interactions and creating change than studying things. So, using research to support working with people is oftentimes thought of as a safety measure against doing harm to a group of people. And it's also used as a justification for kind of professionalizing this group of helpers and trying to find ways to say that it makes sense to invest money in these programs because research has shown that they work. I think we always have to be careful to recognize that the use of academic research is all of that, which is good, but it is also part of the dominant culture. And that research can be used as a tool for colonialism and other kinds of oppression. The ways that you will run into to research when you're doing social work, when you're doing work with groups, is first of all, if you're doing client work in an agency, a lot of nonprofit organizations only use evidence based intervention when they're working with clients. For example, here in Austin, LifeWorks uses cognitive behavioral therapy. It's very well researched. There's decades of evidence that that method of therapy works well. And if you're on the staff at LifeWorks, you're required to take some training on CBT and to use that. It might not be the only approach that you use, but it will definitely be an approach that you'll be required to use. You might see university requests. Many agencies host research projects from nearby universities, and the staff and clients are asked to participate in studies. That's certainly true here at the University of Texas. Our School of Social Work has research projects that are active in agencies across the city and even across the state sometimes. You might run into research in grant applications. Some grant applications for social services ask for research references about what you're planning to do before they will agree to fund your service. And they just want to know that whatever techniques you're using have been studied and have been shown to be effective. And so you might have to put that in a grant application or something along those lines. And for those of us who want to grow up and become professional social workers, a Master's of Science in Social Work, the licensure for that degree requires that you keep up with current research. And one of the ways that they make sure that you do is by requiring you to have a certain number of continuing education units called CEUs. And every year, all licensed social workers are required to have a certain number of CEUs. And some of those are in very specific areas like ethics, social justice. Sometimes NASW will require it a very specific kind of, evidence-based practice that you need certain kinds of CEUs to be able to continue with your license. Research is a path to having a job that allows you to study and think and create hypotheses. So if you want to grow up and be somebody who gets paid to think deep thoughts, then research is definitely your friend. Obviously, people can do that on their own. I have oftentimes picked a topic and then just decided to study it and bought textbooks and sat around and read about it and studied things for years and have become quite expert in them. But one of the things I recognize is that without a degree, a person's research is not really considered legitimate. So I studied anthropology for 4 years before I decided to come back to get my master's degree. And I did not get my master's degree in anthropology. I didn't even get my PhD in anthropology. And although I know a lot about it and it informs the work that I do, I couldn't ever teach a class in anthropology. Nobody would believe that I had the credentials to do that without a degree. So throughout school and in work, you will run into research with a capital R several times. And that will happen in the shape of methods classes that you might have to take, research paper assignments you might have to do, and you may be asked to participate in research experiments, either done by your professors or by someone from the university nearby. So having more than a layman's understanding of how research is conducted, why it's conducted, and when it's sound and accurate is incredibly useful, even if you think that your life will not include research.